Hi guys, so today we're going to learn about Affinity Designer on the iPad. I know there are a lot of YouTube videos available out there, but then I'm going to give you a perspective of how you can efficiently use this tool to create your illustrations or any vector images as well. And if you're coming from Adobe Illustrator, I will be giving you tips and tricks of where to find certain tools that you've been missing out in Affinity. It's hidden somewhere in the tool, and there's a small workaround or any kind of actions that you have to bring in. So let's get started. So in this first video, we're gonna see what are all the settings and how to create a document. What are all the toolboxes that we have available with us in the iPad application of Affinity Designer. So as soon as you open the app, you can see I have my project files over here. If you're wondering what projects that I work on, you can follow me on Instagram. I'll just put a link here, or my channel name. So you can store your live projects. So you can see here it's called as the live documents. So you can see here it is called as the live documents, and then you can create new documents directly from here. You can create a new document from here if you have copied something from the internet, and you can directly create a new document from the clipboard by itself. And if you have any templates previously saved, for example, a template is nothing but, let's say for example, if you're posting on Instagram and if you have the 1:1 or the 3:4 scale, or for stories that is 9:16, you can directly create templates and then save, and then you can directly import any photo directly into a new document and then start working on it. That's it. Yeah, and then open. Yes, of course you can open existing documents, you can import any existing documents, import directly from photos as well. And then of course templates. If you have any templates that you already have, regardless of any software, for example if you're importing from Illustrator or anything, of course it will work seamlessly in the Affinity Designer. And then of course samples. So these are all sample vector arts that is created by Affinity by themselves, by various artists. So you can see you have cars, you have vintage cars, you have plushies. So this just gives you an example of how much you can create in this tool, so which is pretty much a large unit. Then of course you have your direct help document page. You can directly go into your learning portal, and then you can start learning Affinity Designer in case if you are missing out anything or you don't know what to do. Let me quickly switch over. And then of course you have your account, so you can download a lot of things that Affinity is already providing as their add-ons. And then of course settings. So settings panel, you have your general settings, and then you have your user interface settings. For example, if you're primarily using the Apple Pencil, there are certain settings that you have to change. And then color, if you are specific about the default RGB profile, you can switch it to display P3 or the color match or Apple or the Adobe one. I just leave it to the default settings because I don't want to mess with anything, which is currently working very good for me. And then of course you have the tools. For example, you can change all the nudge distance, and then of course you can allow canvas rotation, and then of course the move tool constraint. If you want to constrain all four corners when you're resizing images, you can always change here. And of course the pencil, so you can have your own pressure curve that you have. For example, if you are a brush based vector artist, you can like change it here. And then of course Apple Pencil has the double tap action, so you can switch the double tap action which you want. And of course fonts, you can import any OTF and TTF fonts that are available on the internet. You can download and then import them. It's very simple. And then of course shortcuts. If you have a keyboard that you have attached to your iPad, then you can always use the shortcuts that is available. So it's a full-blown PC software, but then completely redesigned for the iPad and touch experience. So if you are more comfortable with the Apple Pencil, it's well and good, but if you want a keyboard experience, you always have the shortcuts to play with. And then linked services, if you have Dropbox anything, you can link back, so you can like save and export. So it's more like a complete ecosystem that is available. And then of course if you have made any mess with your settings, you can always reset them back. So that is the complete UI and then what is available outside of Affinity Designer. So in the next module, we'll be looking up on how to open a document and what are all the tools that is available with us. So now let's create a new document. So all you have to do is just tap on new. I'm going to create a new document, and you already have a lot of presets available with you. So for example, if you're going to print anything, you always have all your printing format sizes with the measurements, either it be portrait or landscape. You can switch them here. And then if I scroll down, you already have the press ready one. So if you're going to design for magazine covers and newsletters, you can always switch to that. And you also have photos. So if you're going to take photo, you can switch to those sizes. And then of course web, which is mostly I prefer using because I post on Instagram mostly. So you can always switch. So for example, social media square post or the regular story post or the portrait post. And then of course, if you are creating any for example wallpapers for any devices, of course they already have a bunch of device sizes, but predominantly these are all Apple devices. I don't know why they have not included any other devices. And then of course you have architectural. So if you're an architectural student, you can always pick up your arc sizes as well. So for today, I'm gonna pick a portrait and then a story, a portrait. I think I'll go for a 1:1. And then of course you can change the page width if you are looking for more crisp documents. And then of course DPI, I preferably keep it at 300, which is good enough for me for posting, and I've not seen anything. Rest are all, I'm gonna just leave it as such, and then of course I'm gonna click OK, and then of course a new document is created. So you can just pinch to zoom in to your artboard. So this is the artboard layer that is available now. So now let's focus on all the three corners of Affinity Designer that is available to us. So if you see on the leftmost plane, we have all our tools that is available. For example, if you're coming from Adobe Illustrator, it's the same place where you're going to find all your tools. So all the tools are available here, and then the top plane is where all the functionalities are available. So for example, if you want to import anything, if you want to change any settings, if you want to flip, if you want to blend, or if you want to use any Boolean functions, of course those are all available over here. And then you can also use selection. So for example, if you have made an document that has a lot of same colors, and if you want to change the colors, you can click on the same color and you can select them and then change it on the go. And then of course you have magnetic attachment. So for example, it'll always stick to all the grids that you're going to create. And then also of course Affinity is also offering grids and margins, and then you can zoom in and zoom out. Let me switch to grid. So you can see Affinity offers grid as well. So for example, if you're doing any kind of proper isometric illustrations, you can always prefer the grid. And then on the rightmost panel is where all our regular things are available. For example, the color, the stroke and fill color is available, the stroke length adjustment, and of course there's plenty of options that is available. So for stroke, and then of course our layers panel. So I'm going to create a new vector layer. And then of course you have pixel layer, because Affinity Designer is the only software that offers personas. So what are personas? Personas are nothing but you can switch between a vector based and a pixel based, that is a raster based vector tool. So you get the feature of both worlds. Let's say for example Adobe Illustrator and then Photoshop merged into together. That is what Affinity Designer is about. So let's quickly go back to Designer, and then of course you have your multiple brushes. You can just select whichever brush you want, and of course if you want to change the appearance of it, and then you can always use symbols, and then these are all layer effects. For example, if you want to give an emboss feature on an outline, if you want to make it 3D, mind you, the 3D option that is being shown here is not the 3D option that is being given by the Adobe Illustrator, which is more of a proper 3D, and this only gives more of a sticker like an effect. And then of course all your shadows and outer glows, and then these are all small adjustments that you can do if you have finished your work, and then if you want to like throw in a little bit of color grade and then adjust the tone or something, you can always do it here. And then this is the font section, so you can like select text, you can change, you can null, you can corner it, and then add sizes and stuff. And then assets, you can always import an asset from any of other artboards that you have worked on. So for example, let's say you have worked on a lot of stickers, and then if you want to import it in an asset and to build a board, you can always do that. And then of course Affinity inbuilt comes with a stock photo website, which is Pixabay. You can just tap to search. So for example, I'm going to search cats because I like cats. You can see, you can, for example, I like this one, and I'm going to take it, and you just click understand. Okay. So you just drag and drop, it's downloading, and then voila, there you go. And then you can resize the image. So for example, if you're using any reference photos, and then like you can see the grid lines. So that is the magnetic feature of the Affinity Designer, so you can always snap. So it's a really nice feature when you're working on for example, any kind of vector art where it is symmetric, so it's easy to snap in and you'll not miss out the symmetry of it as well. And then of course, resource manager, if you have any other resource imported also, you can come here, and then transform panel, if you want to like flip the image, if you want to rotate it, you can do anything that you want to. And then of course, this is more of a before and after effect. If you want to switch to outline and X-ray to see what all the things are going in the back, it's a cool feature. You can like post reels on it. And then of course, this is a very nice and really nice feature, which is called as history. So for example, I can scroll back and see what I've done, but it only stores up to 100 sessions. So you can always use snapshot features to snap into particular session, and then you can always delete it and come back. You can create multiple variants inside one artboard itself. Yeah. So that, guys, is how Affinity's tool layout, settings and everything is in general. In my next video, I'll be teaching you how all the tools and functionalities works on the left panel. So thanks. Like the video, subscribe. I've been doing illustration works for more than 3 years, and it's the best time for me to transfer the knowledge and then make sure people who are getting started with Affinity Design on iPad gets a lot of content on YouTube to understand how this tool really works and then the issues that's being faced. Thanks.